to give you over to Erie County. This is Lindsay Wright and Tom Lowe, and they're going to tell us.
All right. Thanks for that introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Lindsay Wright from Erie County, New York. It's really an honor to be here at the Cardiac Arrest Survival Summit. It's been such an inspiring last few days. Tom and I are really proud to be here to share how Erie County became a Heartsafe community. Ours is really more of a heartfelt story as opposed to the nitty-gritty technical details. But it's a story rooted in collaboration, compassion, and power of ordinary people coming together to save lives. So Erie County sits along the shore of Lake Erie in western New York, and it's home to nearly 1 million residents, from our vibrant city of Buffalo to the small rural towns that are across the county. Much like Detroit, we do share a legacy of resilience, shaped by hardworking, compassionate people who are deeply connected to each other. Our community comes together in moments of challenge and triumph, embodying a shared spirit of compassion, pride, and perseverance. Whether supporting a neighbor in need, cheering on our hometown team, go Bills, or responding in times of crisis, Erie County has always led with heart. We saw that most clearly in the wake of the May 14th, 2022 racially motivated mass shooting at our local supermarket, a tragedy that shook us to our core. But in the aftermath, we had neighbors, faith leaders, and local organizations come together to heal, rebuild, and reaffirm our shared commitment to one another. That same spirit of compassion and collective strength continued to define us today. Another moment that galvanized our community, and a big reason Tom and I are here today, came on January 2nd, 2023. And I think we all know that event by now. But the immediate response of the medical team that day, performing CPR and using the defibrillator right there on the field, didn't just save Damar's life. It proved to millions the power of being prepared, acting fast, and never giving up. We have a quick video message from Dr. Les Hassan, who is the team doctor for Buffalo Bills.
I'm Dr. Les Hassan, medical director for the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres. I was one of the first responders to Mark Hammond. He had his on-field cardiac arrest. Prior to that season, the Buffalo Bills medical training staff, like we do before every season, had met to review and practice what we would do if a variety of life and threatened scenarios happened, with one of them being cardiac arrest. Before our football game that night, Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals medical training staffs, as well as the emergency medical providers, met and reviewed what we would do if there were a cardiac arrest. Preparation saves lives. And now, let's hear from Damar himself.
My name is Damar Hammond, safety for the Buffalo Bills. You may know that CPR saved my life in the season. And thanks to the NFL and the American Heart Association, the people around me knew exactly what to do. Today, we want you to learn hands-on CPR. The American Heart Association and the NFL are proud to work together to build a nation of lifesavers. The power is in your hands, and we thank you for becoming a lifesaver.
So that moment that happened on the field created this ripple effect, which we now know is now known as the Damar effect. But it really sparked a movement in Erie County for obvious reasons. But we noticed a huge interest in CPR and AED training. And we used that momentum to create a vision for Heartsafe Erie County. It became our commitment to ensure that what we witnessed wasn't just a moment, but a movement for lasting change. Our county executive formally introduced the Heartsafe goal in his 2024 state and county address. And from that moment, we hit the ground running, not always knowing which direction, but we did it with passion and we did it with purpose. Looking back, I think our biggest barrier was simply not knowing what we didn't know. As non-first responders taking lead on this initiative, we found ourselves navigating unfamiliar systems and terminology. I swear I was looking up acronyms daily. But our size was also a barrier, as Brandon mentioned. We're very large geographic region. And within Erie County, there are 20 PSAPs, another acronym I had to look up, multiple responding agencies and municipalities, and again, with nearly 1 million residents, coordination wasn't easy. But we quickly realized that every obstacle was an opportunity. We built relationships, we asked a lot of questions, and we learned together. Community engagement and partnerships is our driving force. We brought diverse voices to the table, from healthcare professionals, first responders, policymakers, and residents. Everybody had a role to play, and that sense of shared ownership became our greatest strength. Our partnership with the Buffalo Bills brought massive attention and excitement, really amplifying our message. And then the American Heart Association, the American Red Cross, and our own public health emergency preparedness team helped train tens of thousands of individuals. We had our Dr. Hassan and UBMD Orthopedics help secure additional outside grant funding to bring these resources and CPR training into our under-resourced neighborhoods. These partnerships really helped ensure that our progress wasn't only impactful, but it was equitable, reaching every corner of our community. This momentum also helped drive policy change. The passage of the Heartsafe and New York State DASHA's law marked major steps forward in cardiac emergency preparedness and reflected the very values for what Heartsafe Erie County stands for. We managed, nope, I'm sorry, step ahead before I on a slide. But anyway, we managed to accomplish this pretty fast. We did it all in 1 year. We actually achieved our designation the day before the 2025 State of the County address. So in that year, we managed to train 147,000 people across Erie County in CPR. Over 220 AEDs were distributed throughout the county. We added 5 county-run ambulances strategically placed in our rural neighborhoods to reduce response times and just overall strengthen our emergency safety net. We developed an AED borrowing program with our local public library, where an individual just needs a library card and they can check out an AED. Together with that program and American Heart Association's annual distribution of CPR Anywhere kits, we were making life-saving skills more accessible than ever. And thanks to an amazing collaboration between the Cardiac Crusade and the Jenkins School of Medicine, we went from just 115 AEDs mapped and verified in the Pulse Point app to over 1,200 in just under 6 months. It's a huge leap in public readiness. So our journey has never been about the designation or about perfection. It's been about progress, about learning together, adapting, and turning community spirit into tangible results. Erie County stands proof that when compassion meets collaboration, we can transform entire communities one heartbeat at a time. Thanks.
Everybody, that's what we're here for today. Thank you so much, Lindsay. What do you guys think about that? Erie County, thank you.
I'm at yes.
As am I. Okay, team.
All right, thanks. I'm Robert Dunn. I'm the medical director in.
Is the Bills co-owner and team president, Kim Fula, also had a sudden cardiac arrest less than 7 months before Mars. Her outcomes weren't as great. She's still with us, not as neurologically intact, maybe. But, so 2 really important stories for us in our community, and the Bills run deep in our community and show the socks once. Maybe at least once today. But they're a big part of our community. We bleed red and blue. And so really we got to work after Demar's incident. We got to work after Kim's incident. The Heart Association started working with the Bills, and by the time we started pursuing Heartsafe, we were already a year and a half into our relationship and training close to 80,000 people a year in hands-on CPR and distributing youth sports kits and large scale and small scale activations. And really the Heartsafe process catalyzed those relationships, and we were able to leverage those relationships and the networks we had to pursue shared vision.
Yeah, I'll just say, like Dr. Dunn talked about the planning and all that. Erie County on our end, we jumped in feet first. We did not plan. We did not have any implementation in process at all. So we were just fortunate to have the amazing partners, the American Heart Association and the Bills, who were willing and ready to jump in feet first with us, and we figured out all the rest after. So much different approaches to the same goal and the same designation.
And don't for one hot second think that because these two giant cities can do it, that you cannot. We work with Heartsafe communities of the smallest, most rural in our country. Where there's a will, there's a way, and I know something that unites us all. Buffalo wings.
Chicken wings.
Yeah, chicken wings.
Yeah, and I think the common thread in most cases is a champion and an event. And the event is often an arrest, maybe high profile, doesn't have to be a star, but maybe high profile in a community. And there's always someone who cares enough to drive it forward. But sometimes the event is just recognizing the problem, right? Acknowledging that you really have a deficit. Okay, so after starting, the next step is usually getting everyone else on board. And one of the challenges about this is you need a lot of stakeholders to buy in for something like this, because it touches all parts of the community. So, your first responders, hospitals, community organizations, the public, they all have to kind of believe in this and keep believing. So what were your guys' tricks for kind of getting these stakeholders to the table, getting them to care, and then maintaining that interest over time? Erie?
Yeah, so we kind of already mentioned all of that. We went for the designation about a year after the Lamar incident. So there was already like massive attention surrounding sudden cardiac arrest. It was no longer an invisible problem. So what really worked for us was just connecting to the right people and leveraging those relationships, as Tanya mentioned. We all wanted the same outcomes, and we all brought different things to the table, and we used that collective impact to really make this thing work. As time went on, we started to hear the success stories of our training. We started to hear, the lay rescuer, the bystander intervention, and it really, how does that not move you? So that was huge once we actually started seeing what we were doing work. But I do have to give credit to our county executive, Mark Polkars, for really giving this initiative validity by making that giant announcement at his State of the County address. Without that, it wouldn't have had face value like it did. And his support behind this mission just really helped kind of progress it pretty quickly. And he put a ton of resources behind the effort. So we owe a big thanks to him, his part in this.
Lindsay mentioned stories, and I think, we all love the good vibes, the good stories, and that they continue to help motivate us. And, just to highlight a few, and not only hearing the stories, using the stories as motivation, but celebrating and recognizing those stories. So the 15-year-old named Anthony Killinger, who performed CPR on his stepfather, who had a cardiac arrest and saved his life. We were able to honor him with a Heartsafe Hero Award. Another Cheetah Walker was in a small area of Erie County. Sarah Brown was driving and saw a car accident. The man driving the delivery van had a cardiac event while driving. She pulled him out of the car and delivered him CPR to him. And she had actually learned CPR or brushed up on her skills in an event that we had done as part of this effort. And then Andrea Rogers had to perform CPR on her mother at a Bills inter-squad scrimmage. And we actually have photos of her mother with her grandkids learning hands-only CPR at Buffalo Bills training camp and actually doing it again ahead of the inter-squad scrimmage that she ended up having a cardiac arrest at. So we use those stories, we fuel our work with those stories, and all three of those individuals were celebrated through a Heartsafe Hero Award, or in Sarah's case, she received the state honor, the highest civilian honor in the state, the Liberty Medal from the State Senate.
So make no mistake, everybody, this program is where the rubber hits the road. It's where everyone you've been listening to since you've been here, everyone you're gonna listen to through tomorrow, all the work, all the research, this is where it comes together. It comes together on the streets. It's taking our research and putting it to the streets. It's taking something that every last one of you do, dumping it on the table, sharing it. True collaboration makes the job easier. Detroit?
So
We really were riding.
Our Erie County approach. I think Detroit, see, you know, one of the first words Dr. Bennett used was data. Not necessarily our thing, not that we started, though we know the importance of it, right? And we collected it throughout this, but just kind of really building off those stories, finding those sparks. And we have one of the biggest ones in this space with DeMar. Again, I think Dr. Dunn, you said riding the wave. We rode the wave of that momentum from DeMar, from the Kim Babula incident, with the Bills, with these big partners. And I guess, you know, just to tack a little piece of advice on it, you know, if you have a spark, ride the wave of that spark, but don't wait for the spark. And all those people that raised their hand to say they're pursuing Heartsafe, great for you. Everyone, hopefully by the end of the session, everyone's going to raise their hand to say we're pursuing Heartsafe. But again, if you have the spark, use it, but don't wait for it. It's too important to wait.
Detroit?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the geography.
Existing budgets, and then the momentum picks up, and then people start getting a little FOMO, right? Because we're getting great results, we're saving lives, we're coming together, we're using existing money in existing timeframes, and we're really making some things happen. Watch you guys in Erie.
Same. Done. Honestly, there was no money, or no money specifically allocated to Heartsafe. We really leveraged existing events already going on, and if Heartsafe fit into it, it's just this beautiful, like, organic thing. That being said, our county executive, again, this all happened right after tomorrow, so that's just really unique in Erie County. We again had that momentum. Our county executive, prior to even Heartsafe being an idea, had already allocated money for AEDs for us to distribute to youth sports organizations as a result of the DeMar effect. So we had already had that in place. That had been approved by our county ledge, so we were good to go. And I can just like mimic everything that they said. Everything's just sort of fell into place. You know, the relationship with American Heart Association and the Buffalo Bills. They were huge advocates in running these huge awareness campaigns. And then some grassroots efforts. We did some high traffic outreach events. I think Tom will talk about it. We did the Erie County Fair, which is the state's largest fair. So we did a lot of little things, and the sum of small things are bigger than the whole. So it's just, it'll come. You build it, it'll come.
And of all the communities we've worked with, I don't know of any that started with just a big bucket of money.
We haven't seen the fizzle in our momentum yet at all. I think we saw the designation as really a launching pad, a starting point for a lot of cool work to come. And to the funding question, again, leveraging that designation for future funding and things like that. I think we're continuing to look for ways to build on the success, to build on the story of the designation, to leverage those resources, to identify new opportunities, and to innovate and grow the work that we're doing. All of the organizations that are involved, I think, have this work ingrained in their missions, you know, whether it's an organizational mission, a personal mission statement. We're all committed and moving in the same direction. And just, you know, we already have 3, 4, 5 different things in motion, new things that weren't on our application for Heartsafe. So, you know, some community AED responding work, with a vibe and, you know, the 4-minute community. We have a tagline trying to make Erie County the safest place to play youth sports, and already have some new relationships developing around cardiac emergency response plans in youth sports around the county. And Lindsay mentioned, how do we tag that up with the library AED loaner program, making sure that they have access to those AEDs. And then the last thing I'll mention is, I think there's a built-in advantage in the 13 elements of the Heartsafe process, and that 15% of people that you have to engage on an annual basis through hands-only CPR training or some type of training, that in Erie County, that's 145,000 plus people every year that we're interacting with. That's an opportunity to engage 145,000 plus people as champions, torchbearers, people that continue working with us, growing our web, our network, and you know, sustaining this project into the future.
And I will say, no matter what you do, you will invite your neighbors from day one. Your neighboring counties, your neighboring cities. We did that in County, Florida, and I'm proud to announce just here right now, as of yesterday, my neighboring county, Collier County, Florida, as